Zildjian turned my ride cymbal into a snare drum. Welcome back to another episode of Tim's Peculiar Percussion Papayas. Today, the papaya we're talking about is the Zildjian Noble Cooley snare drum, the original one here from 1989. This middle-aged drum, it's a middle-aged drum, is really cool. So the shell is made out of Zildjian's B20 alloy. It's the same stuff that makes the A Customs, the Ks, and the K-Cons that I have set up here. It's very, very musical, obviously. Listen, the alloy has worked for like 400 years, so I think they're doing something right. And it made a wonderful snare drum. Noble Cooley, Massachusetts manufacturer, Zildjian, Massachusetts company. And supposedly the shells were cast, they're sand cast, meaning that you make a mold kind of thing, you pour the brass in, and then out pops your shell. All that stuff was done in Massachusetts, so this is kind of a cool thing. The drum we have here is number 50, 50. Weren't a ton made on the first run. And this drum, which has been borrowed to us from Turkish Cymbals USA, this is the original owner of the drum. He's been able to give us some really interesting info on this stuff. So the original run here, 1989, weren't a lot of them sold. It sounds like they were something like $900 or $1,500 back then. 30 years ago, that was a lot to spend on a snare drum. And they reissued them in 2003, but they had a different look to them, and here's why. This is another reason why this particular snare drum is so special, is because this original run, a lot of the shells wound up cracking. So on the 2003 run, if you look up on Google, Noble Cooley Zildjian 2003, if you look up reissue, something like that, you'll see that the new shells are ribbed. It almost looks like the lathing on a really deep lathing on a cymbal, and that was to help them not crack. That second run, supposedly they made 500, but I've also heard that they didn't really sell again as many as they thought they were going to sell. So there's no telling how much of those reissues there are out there, and there's absolutely no telling how many of the uncracked 80s shells are still available, which makes this all the more special. Let's give this thing a listen. Let's cut straight to it. This is a wonderful, wonderful snare drum. I'm pairing it today with my classic maple kit. The snare drum itself has a Remo Ambassador on top. I think the wires are original on the bottom, and it has an old Remo Ambassador snare side, which I would assume is probably original. Die-cast hoops on the snare, so a little bit of a different tone than I'm used to. And on the kit here, we have Evans heads. I'm an Evans dude, love them. Onyx top and bottom on the toms with Roots EQ, and that's to help dampen those toms, just really get a nice quick note in and out. And for the cymbals today, gotta be using Zildjian, right? So as a thank you to Turkish Cymbals, I'm using a little bit of Turkish because that comes out of the same school of thought that the original Zildjian stuff did. So I have the 15-inch Millennium hats here. I have a Zildjian, gotta have the Zildjians, right? Zildjian 20-inch medium thin low, 22-inch medium thin low, and a 22-inch Avidus crash ride. Wonderful cymbals, good little mix here of stuff. Give it a listen. What a wonderful sounding snare drum, right? I mean, it is rock city, super musical type of tone out of this drum, which is no surprise. Think about Tama cast brass. That's one of the most sort of sought after sounds right now, is the sandcast brass, sandcast bronze, that sort of thing. Too cool. Too cool. And to me, this tone reminds me of another snare drum that I have. And I'm going to pull that puppy out right now. I'm used to this thing being heavy, but thank God it is not as heavy as that Zildjian Noble Cooley. This is my Keplinger snare. I'm going to do a separate video on this at some point, but the Zildjian stuff really reminds me of this, which is sort of a Seattle type of sound. Big, heavy metal type of sound. This is a stainless drum, but I really just wanted to show you this, guys, because it is just, it's cool. Wide open, heavy metal sound. One of my favorite drum tones. You can always take a wide open snare drum and dampen it and bring it back in, reel it back in, make it more controlled sounding. You can't take a controlled snare drum and open it up if that's your starting point. So the more wide open you can go, in my opinion, that's just a benefit to you. It makes you have a more versatile snare drum. Now, in the spirit of the Keplinger thing, in the spirit of this heavy metal sounding drum, I'm going to play this drum in context with some music right now that definitely sounds like Seattle. So let's take a peek at that. I mean, that's it, right? That is the tone. That's the Seattle sound. You think of Soundgarden, you think of Pearl Jam. That's it, dude. That is it. What a cool sound. And this is not the only tone you're going to be able to get out of this. The beautiful thing about brass, bronze, heavy metal snare drums, steel included, is you can take them up and down in pitch. You can, again, dampen them, keep them wide open, and you can do really whatever the heck you want with these things tonally. So I'm going to try it in a totally different musical context. I'm going to tune it up a little bit. I'm going to leave it undampened. But this is, again, super versatile. I can't say enough about heavy metal drums like this, and in particular about this drum here. Wow. All right, check this out. So there you have it. Zildjian, Noble and Cooley snare drum, the Massachusetts sound, as the superpowers combine. Thanks again to Turkish Cymbals USA for letting me borrow this drum and try it out. I'm looking forward to bringing more of those drums from that collection onto the channel and showing them off. And thanks to all of you guys for watching. Leave a comment. Do you think this snare drum is cool? Do you think this is something that Zildjian should be doing again? I mean, it's their 400th anniversary here in 2023, so I would say a little a winky wink. Come on, Zildjian family, we got to do a little doodly bop here and give me a drum. Hopefully that doesn't cost me more than a kidney. But you know what? Cool either way. Whether these are just going to be a historical legend or something that does come back and something that we can enjoy again. Leave a comment, give me a subscribe, and mail me some ice cream. All right, folks, have a good one. We'll talk to you soon.